Chapter 28. Under the Smoke of the Red Pines. Come dawn, the light snuck through them tall red pines like a shy young'un peeking round a corner, and the smoke from the hearths curled up slow, mixin' with the mornin's breath. The Chokonen village lay still as a pond for a storm, like time itself had stopped twixt one heartbeat and t'other. But underneath that quiet there was a stirrin', something old, deep, and deaf as a buried coal glowing under cold ash. Out stepped Pasago Cabazon from his lodge, walking steady but not in no rush, like a man who'd seen his share of hard days and carried 'em in his eyes, quiet and sure. By his side was she who smiles, spry as a spring breeze in a land of rock and flame. Her cheer seemed true blue, but old Achille, Pisago's first wife, watched from the shadows, her eyes narrow as a razor's edge. No tears, no words, just a silence sharp enough to slice through a man's heart. He fetched her like a blossom plucked off the wind, Achille muttered to old Shige, the woman who'd raised her like her own. And now he reckons I'll just forget? Shige didn't say nothin'. She just kept slicing rabbit meat with her wore-out blade, letting the silence do the talking, heavy, wise, like a prayer said without words. Round the village, women was baking mesquite tortillas over low fires, and young'uns scampered barefoot through the dust, laughing like the world was all sunshine and no thorns. But even their giggles had a touch of worry, like a fiddle playing a merry tune with a sour string. Something hung in the air, unseen but felt, tugging at every nerve. Pasago knew it. He felt that strain and took it as the cost of his choosing. His tribe needed a healer, seeing as the old one had gone to glory, and the mescalero had what the Chokonen lacked. This marriage weren't just about joining blood. It was about power, the spiritual kind, the political kind, the kind you can't see but feel in your bones. Ja-iji Yisoi, he said, looking at his new bride. How come women don't never seem tickled pink at weddings? She gave a faint smile, but it was the kind that carried the weight of 100 truths. Women carry 2 lives, Pasago, one for themselves, one for the man who picks 'em. Not all lives fit like a glove. Young as she was, her wisdom ran deeper in a river. She hadn't spent all that time with Diwe-Yami, that mescalero healer who could hear spirits dancing, for nothing. Achille, mother of Cochise, stayed quiet. She'd given the tribe an heir, so maybe she had no call to fret. But forgiven? That was another kettle of fish. Some fires burn without flames, just with memories. By the hearth, she who smiles was trying to thread beads made of yucca seeds, but the thread kept snapping. Pasago lent a hand, though his fingers, tough from battles and blood, was too clumsy for such fiddly work. Don't you all sew with agave fiber in your tribe? She asked, flashing a smile. No, says he. We use our mama's hair. When they pass, they leave a piece of themselves to hold our clothes together. That's mighty pretty, she said. Where I come from, death don't weave into life. Pasago didn't say nothing, but he thought to himself, maybe that's why the Chiricahua is sadder'n most. The elders' council was coming up, and every man over 16 was expected to show. Pasago got himself ready, but just as he was heading out, Achille flung an old poncho over his shoulders, one she'd stitched herself. Don't you forget who sewed your first garment, she said, her voice shaking like a leaf in a storm. Don't forget who stood by you when you wasn't yet the big chief of the Chokonen. Pasago's eyes dropped to the dirt. He didn't say a word. At the council, round the fire, young Cochise hefted the ceremonial staff. The red moons is nigh, says he. We gotta guard the mountain pass, but more'n that, we gotta figure why them coyotes is howling up in the hills. Could be a cougar, or could be something else. Pasago spoke up. The 20 warriors what went with me to Mescalero can tell what they seen. The healer and my new wife brought honor and plenty to the canyon folks. Now the girl's with us. She'll keep us safe. Aye, hollered the warriors, all in one voice. She who smiles will know if trouble's comin', Pasago went on. And to the old woman who asked about my vow, tell her I ain't forgot. Them 4 lost souls still haunt me. We'll set our scouts in the usual spots. The smoke will speak 4 danger strikes. In the Chokonen village, silence weren't never just silence. It was a warning, plain as day. The ashes a mere valley. The sun was settling low over them jagged hills, painting the sky red as a wound, when the wore-out pony of the messenger, coming back from Mescalero, plodded into Mere Valley. That feller, Goyaway, was brimming with hope, thinking of seeing his kin again, his little gals who'd toddled their first steps in the dust, where he'd laughed and dreamed under happier stars. But the wind carried a queer, heavy stink, burnt smoke and dried blood, mixin' like a bad omen. Something was wrong, awful wrong. Goyawi yanked the reins, letting his mustang creep slow through the dusk shadows. Then he seen it, everything, dead as a doornail. The lodges wasn't lodges no more, just charred scraps of hide flapping lonesome in the breeze. The hearth still sputtered with dying embers, but there weren't nobody left to tend 'em. The elders lay crumpled, their mouths froze in silent hollers, women with no faces, young'uns with arms still reaching for a mama who couldn't give 'em nothing no more. The Badencoe band was gone, wiped clean off the earth. The warriors had been caught sleeping and butchered like hogs. This weren't no fight, it was a massacre, cold as a snake's heart, done by men who didn't know the meaning of mercy. Goyawi's eyes hunted for the holiest spot in his world, his own lodge. His heart thumped like a war drum as he stumbled closer. His mama, face down, her back split open like a busted melon. His wife, tied to a post, her throat slashed. His little gals, oh, his gals, small, still, laid side by side like dolls tossed away by some crazed spirit, all scalped, all left by the breath of life. No word could hold the hurt that tore open his chest. Goyawi dropped to his knees, shaking like a pine needle in a winter gale. He howled, not like a man, but like a wolf watching the stars cave in on his world. He cried, fists pounding the dust, tears wetting his lips till the pain turned to silence, the silence of a man with nothing left to lose. After what felt like forever, he stood. His eyes wasn't the same no more. He weren't the young feller who'd carried glad tidings to Mescalero. He was a shadow, born of grief and fire. Behind him nothing but ash. He climbed his barebacked horse and tore off toward Mescalero, galloping like a ghost sent from the land of the dead. He knew what he had to do. He had to tell 'em, not just 'cause they was allies, but 'cause pain's got to be shared, or it'll eat a man's soul clean through. When he hit the edge of the Mescalero village, nobody knowed him at first. He was caked in dust, scorched by the sun, his eyes red and quiet like two burning coals. His face was streaked with the ashes of his tribe, painted with the blood of the fallen. Gomez, seeing him come, stepped out to meet him, and then he knowed everything. When Goyaway opened his mouth, his voice broke and trembled like a busted fiddle string. The whole village gathered, warriors, elders, women with bowls still in their hands, young'uns stopping their games. Every word he spoke fell heavy, like blood dripping on stone. "Mere Valley's dead," says he. "Badencoe's gone. The Mexicans, they snuck in at night, circled the village, and killed every last soul. They set the lodges ablaze. My mama, my wife, my little gals, scalped. They was—" He couldn't go on, didn't need to. His pain spread over that village like a summer storm roaring through the mountains. The healer, Diwayangwe, shut his eyes and whispered to the spirits. Cigarito clenched his fists till his knuckles was white. Marcus threw up his arms and hollered, "We can't wait no longer." The war axe is dug up again. Under the smoky twilight, grief turned into a vow. And Goyaway's tears was the seed of vengeance that had shake them mountains to their bones.